opposites. What is the significance of opposites? In the direct approach, understanding that each object is directly connected only to the background, you easily reach the absolute by transcending the objectivity of that one thing alone. Here, no opposite comes in to trouble you. That opposite is only another object through which you also can reach the same background. It does not come in even in our ordinary statements, this conception of opposites. We bring in the idea of the opposite only subsequently, by way of interpretation or explanation to establish the first statement. But how do the opposites meet and where? The opposites meet in the background. You must transcend both passivity and activity in order to understand the truth. Having first understood the truth from the Guru, you can again visualize it whenever you want, either by extreme passivity or by extreme activity. But without first having that understanding, no kind of activity or inactivity can be of any avail to you. Well, if consciousness is beyond opposites, how can it be known? How do you know the opposites? Certainly not through the opposites themselves. Can that principle which knows opposites have any opposite? Of course not. That is consciousness in its purity. Consciousness or happiness is that which never ceases to be. Opposites are always limited by time, and so cease to be. Therefore, consciousness or happiness is beyond all opposites. The teacher and the disciple both stand depersonalized when the truth is expounded by the teacher and understood by the disciple. Paradoxes. What is meant by water does not flow? Water, or as the element water, is both in the flowing water as well as in the stagnant water. So the flowingness or the stagnancy does not go into the make of water. Therefore, water does not flow, nor does it stagnate. And in a similar way, the I principle consciousness is both in activity and inactivity. Therefore, consciousness is neither active nor inactive. The I principle shines unchanged before, during, and after every activity or inactivity. This method of understanding the objective world and the I not only establishes oneself in the right center, but also destroys the samskaras, the latent tendencies and conditionings relating to them. When I say I walk, it really means I am not walking. Is that true? An activity is a deviation from the normal state. When I say I walk, I mean it as an activity opposed to my normal state of non-walking. Walking is only something which comes and goes, while I am by nature non-walking or changeless. So you admit you have not changed by merely walking. Walking refers to my nature, which is non-walking. Thus, every activity shows I am not that. Every activity appears and disappears in me, for I am changeless, and activity is incessant change. So I cannot be an activity as it is. This I has to be emphasized in the present tense, just before every activity. The I has to be in every activity, but it is there only as the silent witness. If I am in everything which is diversity, it can only be by my being that unity itself. Paths to truth, the direct method, Vichara Marga. What is Vichara Marga? Vichara Marga is the method in which the disciple is directly shown the Absolute. And the only effort the disciple is called upon to make is to establish himself in that Absolute. But what is the discrimination aspect of Vichara? It is a peculiar kind of activity, but not thought, as it might seem to be. Its purpose is removal of untruth, the body, senses, and mind, by way of argument. And what is left over is the real self, the absolute truth, as the real background. This is the rationalistic exposition and establishment of truth put through the higher reason alone. Spiritual vichara or self-inquiry creates sattvic samskaras, or purifying inclinations, which are doubly strong. They destroy the worldly samskaras and at the same time themselves become stronger and stronger. When the worldly samskaras are thus obliterated, the spiritual samskaras also disappear and stand transformed as the background consciousness. Examining deep sleep more closely, it is found to be no state at all. The dream and waking states are only appearances on deep sleep. It is in and through me as Atman that all activities take place. But all the mischief is created by the attempt to objectify that non-doer self and its experiences, exactly as we do with the activities of the ego. But can you explain that direct method of vichara, of self-inquiry? First, by examination of the subjective element in man, from the body backwards to the I principle, it is proved to be pure knowledge or consciousness itself. In a similar way, examining the gross objective world, it is found that since the gross object cannot exist even for a moment apart from the perception concerned, the object is clearly the perception itself. And similarly, taking one's stand in the mind and examining perceptions, it is found that perceptions are nothing but thoughts. And lastly, examining thoughts and feelings by the use of vidya vritti, or the functioning consciousness, it is found that they are consciousness itself, which is the ultimate subject. Thus, both subjective and objective worlds, when properly analyzed, are reduced into the ultimate, which is neither subject nor object. To know this beyond all doubt and to establish oneself there is the direct method. Of the different Upanishads dealing with the different paths to attain the Absolute, they deal with Vichara Marga, or direct perception method in particular. This path takes you straight to the truth. Looking from there, you see the world of mind and senses to be non-existent as such. One who has taken to this path and reached the goal does not stand in need of any independent explanation of ordinary worldly problems like desire and feelings, for they are all solved. But for those who take to other paths like devotion and yogas and the world of thoughts and feelings and perceptions, as also the gross world, then they have to be explained. Why did Sri Shankara not expound Advaita in the direct method? The Shastras, the traditional texts in the days of Shankara, had such a strong hold upon the people that no other method of approach, however direct, could attract or captivate their imagination. Therefore, Sri Shankara had, by force of circumstances, to adopt the laborious method of expounding the Advaitic truth through the Shastric or traditional method. But now, centuries after Shankara, people's blind faith in the Shastras has disappeared, and they are obliged to rely upon reason alone. The present conditions are best suited for the adoption of the direct method of perception, and the best use is made of this opportunity here and now. What is the nature of Vichara? Vichara begins with a course of uncompromising arguments within yourself to prove and affirm that you are not the body, senses, and mind, and that even when all these are changing in the course of the three states, you alone stand changeless as the background, knowing all the apparent changes. When the argument really drives home, the object drops away, all the objects, one by one, until at last you stand alone in your own glory as the background. Then you cannot even say, I know, because there is nothing else to be known, and you stand as that knowledge in its purity. This is, in short, the course of Atma Vichara, or self-inquiry. Is Vichara thinking about the truth? No, it is entirely different. Self-inquiry is a relentless inquiry into the truth of the self and the world, utilizing only higher reason and deep discrimination. It is not thinking at all. You come to know the meaning and the goal of Vichara only on listening to the words of the Guru. But subsequently, you take to that very same knowing over and over again. And that is no thinking at all. This additional effort is necessary in order to destroy the samskaras, all the residual inclinations. When the possessive identification with samskaras no longer occurs, you may be said to have transcended them. You cannot think about anything you do not know. Therefore, thinking about the truth is not possible till you visualize it for the first time. Then you understand that truth can never be made the object of thought, since it is in a different plane. Thus, thinking about the truth is never possible. The expression only means knowing over and over again the truth which is already known.